Hold on just 1 second.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay, good to go.
Yes.
All right. So on Sunday evening, November the 21st, at about 9:38 p.m., Henderson County Dispatch received an unusual 911 call from 39 Beaumont Drive, which is on the west side of the county. The caller advised our telecommunicators that 2 people in the residence had been shot. And what makes this so unusual is that the suspect admitted on the 911 call to being the shooter. Henderson County Sheriff's Office units immediately responded where they encountered a male at the residence fitting the description. The male was immediately detained at the scene. Deputies then performed a sweep of the residence, and they located 2 deceased males inside. Both apparently had died from gunfire. During the sweep of the residence, deputies also located 2 subjects locked in a bathroom inside the residence. The subjects located in the bathroom were the grandparents of the suspect. Both were transported to the hospital for evaluation, but we are not aware of any specific injuries related that they received related to the incident. Investigators arrived at the scene and subsequently obtained a search warrant for the residence and the property at 39 Beaumont Drive. This is just standard operating procedure. This is something we do at every major crime scene. The suspect, who is identified as Garrett Robert Ely, 27 years of age. Garrett Robert Ely, 27 years of age, of the residence, admitted to shooting the 2 men. They are identified as Stephen Robert Ely and Brian Eugene Ely. Stephen is identified as the father of the suspect, and Brian is identified as the uncle of the suspect. After shooting both men, Garrett Ely stated that he forced both his grandparents, who were identified as Patricia Ann Barker and Robert Irving Barker, into the bathroom. Right now, it's unclear how long the Barkers were detained in the bathroom or how long the men had been deceased prior to Ely making the 911 call. However, it's believed that the entire incident occurred yesterday evening. Garrett Robert Ely, again, Garrett Robert Ely, is currently charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree kidnapping. He's currently being held in the Henderson County Detention Facility under no bond, pending a first appearance in court. We had a pretty busy weekend with different incidents that came up. Our major investigations unit was depleted. They had already had an all-night event this weekend. So we asked the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation for assistance, which they provided in assisting us with just processing the crime scene. So that's all I have as far as a statement. Open to any questions you may have at this point.
Sheriff, did the suspect mention any kind of motive or events leading up to this?
Right now, this investigation is ongoing. We still have some interviews to conduct, so I'm not gonna issue any speculation as to what the motive may have been. Right now, we're really unclear on all of the whys to this.
Does he have a criminal history that you know of?
Nothing that I'm familiar of, or nothing that I'm familiar with. But that's not to say that he doesn't. The investigators haven't provided me with that information.
Did they all live in the same house?
They were all residents of 39 Beaumont Drive.
Including the suspect, including Garrett?
Yes.
You know how long they've been living there?
That's unclear.
Do you know the ages approximately of Mr. and Mrs. Barker, his grandparents?
You know, Kim, I don't know. I can give you the approximate ages. Probably late 70s to early 80s is my understanding.
Did your detectives have any dialogue with them when they found them? Were they were in a closet, did you say? I'm sorry.
They were locked in a bathroom. And our first priority was getting them safely out of the residence. And our second priority was to make sure that they were physically stable. We were concerned about any injuries, about their well-being. So they were taken to the hospital to be evaluated. And I'm still waiting to hear what the results are of any interviews that may have occurred with them.
Are they still there, or are they released?
I'm unclear on that right now as it stands here.
Which hospital?
Party Hospital.
Sheriff, can you tell us a little bit about the firearm, and also did your detectives find any other firearms in the home?
It's my understanding that there may have been several firearms in the home owned by different people. I'm unclear on exactly what or how many. What I can tell you is we believe that the weapon that was used in this attack was a high-powered rifle used in close proximity.
Did the suspect have a license, or did he own one of these rifles inside the home?
There's not a license required to own a rifle, and I don't want to speculate as to that. Like I said, this investigation is still ongoing to give that information as to who owned what firearm. That's still something that we've got to define.
Sheriff, have your detectives taken any statements from Mr. and Mrs. Barker?
Kim, really, I don't know. Like I said, our detectives have really been strung out this weekend. I know that the Barkers were really upset. I don't know that any formal interview has been conducted with the Barkers yet. That's part, I know if it hasn't been done, that's part of the ongoing investigation. We'll have several interviews still to do, but this is where we're at.
Do you know if there's been a history of domestic violence or any other types of calls at this address?
There is nothing that I'm familiar with at this address.
Can you talk about when your deputies arrived on the scene, when you detained the suspect, did he cooperate?
It's my understanding that the suspect was completely cooperative throughout that detention, and actually cooperative with investigators throughout the early evening and early morning hours.
Did he give you any indication as to why he called 911?
I'm not going to speculate into that. That's still part of the ongoing investigation.
What about his demeanor? I mean, did he calmly call and say, or was he upset? Or?
Yes, completely calm.
Completely calm.
Completely calm, eerily calm.
So you said his bond has already been denied, he already had his bond hearing?
Well, the magistrate, when he went in front of the magistrate initially, that was in the wee morning hours, the magistrate denied him bond pending his appearance in district court this morning. He will have first appearance in district court sometime today. I don't know when the judge will call him up. He will appear in front of a district court judge. At that time, it will be up to the district court judge to set any conditions of release.
Sheriff, I know this was a fluid situation, but, could you tell us a little bit about the protocols when it comes to an individual who has, in essence, called 911? You have that on tape saying that he was involved in this. When your officers interviewed him, did you tape that? Do you record that? Do you go into a room? Have you done that yet or no?
I know that he has been interviewed, and I'm not going to speak to the interviewer's complete tactics, but I think usually the interviewers will just see what the person has to say without using any kind of ploys whatsoever. That's standard procedure to start with. You know, it's a far cry from any kind of television drama. So I believe, in fact, that that's what's happened, is that he was interviewed by one of our major crimes investigators, and he gave enough information during that interview to lead us to be able to substantiate these charges against him.
You said the SBI was assisting. Can you talk about what they're doing versus what you're doing?
Okay, what we needed when we get into something like this, and I've already had some folks that have been up long hours, we want to make sure we don't overlook anything. The SBI, who have skilled technicians to work crime scenes, where we go in, we document everything in that area, and make sure that all evidence is processed and collected correctly, and that's exactly what they did. They came in and just assisted us with that.
Sheriff, could you provide us the proper spelling? I got it, but I think that we didn't on the suspect, please.
Yes. Garrett, Garrett, Robert, common spelling, Robert, and Ely, Eley, 27 years of age.
And the victims, you know, the correct spelling there?
Yes. So the victims, the homicide victims are Stephen, Robert, Ely, and Stephen is spelled S-T-P-H-E-N. Brian, Eugene, Ely, and Brian is spelled B-R-I-A-N, and Eugene, E-U-G-E-N-E.
What was Stephen's middle name?
Stephen's middle name is Robert.
Awesome.
Yes.
And the charges again?
We've got 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree kidnapping.
Does he have a bond?
No, that's to be determined by the district court judge this morning.
Do you have the ages of the victims?
Stephen Robert Ely, 60 years of age. Brian Eugene Ely is 57 years of age.
And Stephen was the brother?
Stephen is the father. Stephen is the father to Garrett. And it's our understanding right now that Brian is the uncle to Garrett, also the brother to Stephen.
I don't know if I heard you say, what vicinity of the home did this take place?
I'm not at the point to where I think it occurred throughout one level of the home, but I'm not at this point in the investigation to release all of that yet. But I will tell you, it is my understanding it was in separate areas of the home.
And you said you really don't know what time it happened? It hadn't just happened when he called, it had been sometime prior?
It is our belief that there had been some time that had elapsed. However, we are not in a position, I'm definitely, until all the forensics evidence is returned, to speculate on what that time lapse may have been. We've still got interviews to conduct. There's some more details that we really want to get before we release anything specifically.
Sheriff, do you know the total number of homicides that have happened in Henderson County so far this year?
No, but our homicide rate has been very, very low. Very low. I can get that for you, but I don't have that. I don't want to misquote right now.
So did EMS respond to take the markers in?
Yes.
And so the Sheriff's Department, Henderson County EMS, the SBI?
Yes.
Any other agencies?
No. Let me restate that. Towards the end of the event, the Henderson County Rescue Squad did assist us with the transportation of Stephen and Brian to the morgue at Party Hospital. We'll be glad to provide you with the latest information as it's made available to us, as this investigation will be ongoing for some time.
Are we going to be able to get the 911 call?
Thank you. I believe we've got the 911 call that is available, and it's my understanding that immediately following this press conference, that it will be emailed to all of you.
Sheriff, would there be anything that you would have to say to the family? Obviously this is devastating for relatives, friends, in this case. The fact that you did find guns in the home, you don't know, I guess, at this point who owned them, but going into the holidays, just a couple days away, Thanksgiving, what would you say to your community and to the family that's going to be going through this ordeal?
There is no reason for this type of senseless violence. This is a complete tragedy that's going to ripple throughout this family. You know, in my years in law enforcement, I've seen way too much of needless, senseless violence. We're seeing it. I think there's a nationwide story on a tragic event that happened in Wisconsin. I just ask that our folks in Henderson County, should they encounter any situation that they believe is too difficult for them to navigate, that before they turn to violence, they give us a call, because we will set them up with the proper counseling, and we'll provide the proper resources. There's absolutely no reason for this type of incident.
Obviously, mental illness is a national epidemic. When you hear, I don't know if you've heard the 911 call, but the way that you described it, that the suspect was very calm, and you said eerily calm. What does that say to you with the context of we do have a crisis nationally of mental illness that can be coupled in this case maybe with the guns?
I'm not going to speculate on that, because it's my belief, because of some other circumstances that are apparent, that Garrett Ely knew what he was doing was wrong, that he knew that this was not only he was not only creating a tragic event, but that it was illegal and there would be repercussions. So beyond that, because that again leads into the investigation of the case, I'm not going to speculate any further.
So, did he appear to be on the influence of anything, drugs, alcohol?
At this point, it's my understanding, no. However, that's my understanding. Like I said, as more information develops, we'll be glad to provide that to you.
Were any narcotics or illegal drugs found inside the home of the search?
I am not aware of any, but I'm also not aware of what was found. So I'm not going to say no, because I'd actually left the scene. I arrived at the scene for a while last night, and I'd left the scene prior to that entire scene being processed. So these investigators that have been up all night, of course, they've got to have some rest. So I have not been made aware of any information concerning anything, if anything has been found. Listen, thank you. Appreciate you once again coming here, giving us the opportunity to get this information out in a timely manner, and we will immediately email you this 911.